Hi, Nancy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Whoops. Can you hear me?
Sorry, Nancy. I wasn't able to hear you. Could you try again?
Let me just.
There we go. I heard you. Thank you.
Right.
All right, everybody, so let's call the meeting to order. It's now 1:09 for the minutes. Before we get into the actual formal agenda, I wanted to take a couple of minutes just at the top to talk about a few things that are happening, that have happened in the London community, in our Canadian community, and so specifically the shooting of the two LPS emergency response unit officers that took place on March 11th. Both officers were hospitalized. One officer for 6 days who underwent multiple surgeries was released last Friday and is recovering at home. And I would be remiss on my own behalf and on behalf of our board that if we didn't, I wanted to express to you how much concern our hearts continue to break for the officers. And I know we've reached out to Acting Chief McIntyre, both individually and collectively as a board, to express our well wishes and our best thoughts and prayers for the well-being of the officers. But I wanted to do it today in a public forum as well, and to express our deep felt and sincere gratitude to the London Police Service team who responded to this event, both the frontline officers and the sub-staff who worked to support the injured officers, who protected the community, and to members of our senior administration that handled this unimaginable event and tragedy with such grace, composure, and professionalism. I thank you on behalf of the board for everything that you've done. To the victim, Joel Cameron's family and friends, we extend our deepest sympathy on your heartbreaking loss. And I want to say from the bottom of our hearts to the London Police Service, we thank you. Truthfully, we can't thank you enough for what you do, not just on, that day on March 11th, but what you do it every single day, day in, day out, protecting Londoners from the threats that confront us. And so I just wanted to say that I know it's all in a day's work for the police officers, but and you may not hear it as much as you deserve to hear it, but thank you on behalf of the London Police Services Board. Thank you for everything that the police service does to keep our streets safe, and you have our limitless gratitude for everything that you do. So thank you. Continuing with that sad theme, there was the murder of the Edmonton police officers, Constable Brett Ryan and Constable Travis Jordan, who were murdered while protecting their community. They are the 7th and 8th police officers in Canada to be killed in the line of duty in the last 6 months. And 6 of those 8 were murdered with firearms and 1 by a knife. So as we're dealing with our own issues here in London, we join mourning with the Edmonton Police Service, the community, and the greater policing community in Canada. The officers' funerals in Edmonton are being held on March 27th. And again, it just points to a theme that we've discussed many times about the proliferation of guns in our communities, and how it's increasingly dangerous out there for not just members of our community, but for police officers on the front line who have to deal with this on a day-to-day basis. So I know we recently, the board, I think just about a month or so ago, we passed a motion. We wrote a letter to the Prime Minister and to the federal government advocating for comprehensive bail reform to deal with prolific violent offenders. And so and that's a sentiment that was shared by not just our police board and our police service, but police boards and services across the country. Every premier signed a joint letter. It's something that we need to, our government really needs to deal with. And so I know there's a response later on in the agenda. We did receive a response from the federal government on that, but it just, when we're talking about what happened in London or what happened in Edmonton, it just speaks to the larger theme there. So to our police brothers and sisters in Edmonton, we want to express our sincere mourning for your loss there. On to lighter things. On February 23rd, we had the most recent Lewis Carre Trailblazer event. Both the mayor and I were honored to attend on behalf of the city and the police board, respectively. It was a fantastic event, incredibly inspiring. Our keynote speaker and our 3 award winners, Matthew Young, Michael Bryce, and Navia speckles are just bright shining lights and embody and personify the best and brightest of our community, and really just what they are, and they embody and personify a bright future for London. And so it was just an honor to be there with the mayor and with the Chief Williams and Acting Chief McIntyre and the rest of the administration there. It was just an incredible event. Speaking of mayor, it's the mayor's birthday today. So I'm not going to say how old he is, but I know the mayor and I went to university. I can do the math because I know how old I am, right? And we went to university at the exact same time here at Western. So happy birthday to you, Mayor. So do you want to tell us how old you are or no? Sure, yeah.
It's on Wikipedia now. So
Oh, is it?
I
Okay,
can't really
all right.
hide it. So I'm 45.
45.
Yeah, and obviously I got my birthday wish to be here with you at a police board meeting. Yes. So thank you.
That's great. So
Do we want to sing? Happy birthday.
do we want to sing? I don't know.
Does he want us to sing?
I think we're good. Yeah, you can put it in the minutes. You can write it in there. So happy birthday to the mayor there. So, and then lastly, yeah, that's an in camera. Whenever you sing, that's in camera. Okay, we're not going to do that here. Yeah. And then just on another note, today is the first day of Ramadan. So for a large percentage of our London community, for all the Muslim community out there, which I think numbers somewhere between 30 and 40,000 in the city of London alone, today's a big day. So first day of Ramadan. So happy Ramadan Kareem to all our people Muslims observing that today. So with those announcements out of the way, I will move on to the formal agenda and ask for a disclosure of interest. If any members have any disclosure of interest, to do so now. Seeing none, there. Okay, we can move on there. Introduction of new business. Are there any item agendas, any new business that any of the board members want to advance today? Seeing none. In your package, you'll see that there's the minutes from the February 16, 2023 Public London Police Services Board meeting. You've had an opportunity to review them. Are there any changes, revisions, amendments to the minutes as presented in your package? Seeing none, I'll need a mover for a motion that the board approves as presented the minutes of the February 2023 public meeting. Can I get a mover? Vice Chair Walker, seconded by Member Branscombe. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. I kind of alluded to the next agenda item in my statements there. You'll note at agenda item number 5, public correspondence that we've received. I alluded to it in our opening comment about a joint letter that was sent by Chief Williams and myself on behalf of the London Police Services Board, advocating for revisions to our bail hearing, the Criminal Code of Canada, specifically our bail hearing. We wrote a letter to the Prime Minister, and we copied a whole bunch of ministers, the Attorney General, the Solicitor General, and we received a response. It's in our package dated February 22nd. I'll dispense with reading the actual letter itself, but we did receive a response from the Prime Minister as well as our local Member of Parliament for London North Centre, Peter Fragiscatos, who both indicated their general support for the what was being advocated for. So we'll follow up with them. We'll give them time. It's ongoing discussions and ongoing consultations right now, but we'll make a point to diarize that and follow up in a matter of months. So hopefully we'll have moved the ball down the field on that front there. So there's also another piece of correspondence from a community member regarding police presence in London. So again, I'll dispense with reading that verbatim, but it's in the package there. So with that, are there any questions with regards to the correspondence that we received, either from the federal government or from the community member? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. So item agenda number 6, year-end status report. I'm going to look over to you, Acting Chief McIntyre, for you to take us through that.
Yes, thank you, Chair, through
Thank
you.
you.
So I'd like to introduce to you our members of our finance team, Director Jody Graham, and then Senior Director Rob Levesque. So they're going to take us through the next 2 reports for you. Over to you guys.
Okay, so through you, Chair,
In this report for 2022, the year-end results for the operating budget reflected a positive variance of 28,450 after completing full budgeted drawdowns on both our benefits reserve and our recruit reserve. The excess funds were put towards a pay equity amendment, which was completed at year-end. Summary of the year-end budget variances as of December 31st, 2022 were contained within the report for personnel costs, line items, and revenue. And then a summary of our reserves, including activity and any associated balances as at December 31st were also included. So there's no further financial implications to report at this time, but it is recommended that the London Police Services Board receive the 2022 year-end position and reserve balance report for its information.
Thank you for your report. Are there any questions flowing from the report? All right, seeing none, I'll need a mover for the following motion that the board receive the London Police Services 2022 year-end position and reserve balance report for its information. Can you get a mover for that? Vice Chair Walker, seconded by Councillor Lou Stevenson. Any debate or discussion? Seeing none, anyone opposed? All right, that motion is carried. Thank you. Staying with you, Acting Chief McIntyre, we'll move over to item agenda number 7, capital project update.
Thank you, Chair. And over to Ms. Graham again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jody.
Through you, Chair. So information is being provided to the London Police Services Board regarding the status of approved capital projects as at December 31st of 2022. Updates are provided regularly to LPS administration regarding the status of expenditures compared to budgeted amounts. And there's no financial implications to report at this time. All projects have a positive variance. There's funds available as at December 31st. So it's recommended that the London Police Services Board receive the capital project status report as at December 31st, 2022 for its information.
Thank you very much, Director Graham. Are there any questions from the board for Director Graham with regards to this report? Okay, seeing none, I'll need a mover for the following motion that the board receive the London Police Services capital project status as of December 31st, 2022 report for its information. I need a mover. Moved by Councillor Lehman, seconded by Councillor Stevenson. Any debate or discussion? Seeing none, anyone opposed to the motion? Seeing none, that is carried. Perfect. Agenda item number 8, the SIU report. Deputy Chief Reynolds, looking to you to provide a summary of the report there. Thank you to both of you, by the way.
Thanks, Jody and Rob. Chair, through you, this is a mandatory report required under the Police Services Act to report to the board anytime the Special Investigations Unit has invoked their mandate. I will just highlight some of the work done by our officers that take the opportunity here. This was involved a 911 call in an apartment building, 3-story walk up, where the suspect actually was wheeling with 2 knives, 1 in each hand. He took the opportunity, unfortunately, to stab his own mother. He also took the opportunity to stab someone in the same building on the same floor who was in the hallway trying to help. The victim number 2 did strike the suspect with an object that did break his arm prior to our arrival. However, just to show the strength that can still come out of that. So even with a broken arm, this male was able to keep 2 knives in his hands. We had officers, obviously, emergency sent to the situation. They did go into the apartment building, were confronted by the male. They repeatedly tried communicating with him. There was no reasoning at all. He did make several attempts towards our officers to stab them. They used their equipment they're provided with to protect themselves. They used multiple options that they have of use of force. However, the one thing that we did use was the blunt impact projectile weapon, which is it's known as a BIP. It basically will shoot rubber bullets for the sake of getting into technical stuff. And that was repeatedly used. However, it did not phase the suspect at all. Eventually, the taser ended up taking him down, conductive energy weapon known as a taser, and we were able to gain control. even at the time when we took control, he still had a knife in his hand. So quite a scary thing for our officers to go through. And he fortunately was detained and put into custody. But the interesting part is that the SIU, even though we know we didn't break the arm, that's not why they invoked. They invoked because of the discharge of the weapon. So fortunately for us, the officers have all been cleared. As per practice, our professional standards branch conducted the investigation, both on internal procedures and the misconduct of the officer, or conduct of the officer, sorry, and everything was cleared. And that's my report to the board. Looking for you to accept it.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief Reynolds. Any questions for Deputy Chief Reynolds with regards to the report? Looking to you, Councillor Lehman.
Deputy Chief, can you just tell me why blunt impact projectiles were used prior to a taser? Why wasn't a taser used prior to that?
Tasers were used prior to that.
Okay.
There was multiple. I won't get into all but there were multiple uses of everything.
Thank you.
Trying to stop the attack.
Any further questions? All right, seeing none. I'll need a mover for the following motion: that the board receives the special investigations report as required by the Police Services Act. We can get Councillor Stevenson, seconded by Member Branscombe. Any further debate or discussion? Seeing none. Anyone opposed to the motion? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you. So going to stay with you, Deputy Chief Reynolds. We're going to go to item agenda number 9, which is the Joint Forces Operation Report. So looking back to you there.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. This is a mandatory report, that we must submit to the board yearly. It's guided by not only the board policy, but also by adequacy standards. I'll just highlight, it's quite a lengthy report, but we do have 15 provincial joint force operations that we partake in. As if you've reviewed the report, you'll take note that some of them don't require an actual officer being assigned. They're full-time. They actually work with London Police, but they could be called if an incident happened that met the mandate of that provincial group. There may be specific questions, but that's really it. We partake. I will tell you that these provincial groups that we're involved in do assist us in our own city here in multiple different ways in regards to investigations where we don't have to utilize our frontline officers or our own detectives. So they're great assistance, and each one is documented in regards to funding and stuff like that. So with, if pending any questions, that is my submission to the board for acceptance.
Thank you for your report. To the board, any questions for Acting Deputy Chief Reynolds with regards to the report he's provided?
Appreciation to the officers for all this work.
Say again. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I just was going to express my appreciation to all of the officers who participated in this really extensive list of engagement. So thank you all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Walker. Okay, if there's no questions, no further questions, I'll need somebody to move the following motion. That the board receives the 2022 Internal Task Forces Adequacy Standards Report for its information. Moved by Councillor Stevenson, seconded by Vice Chair Walker. Any debate or discussion? Seeing none, is there anyone opposed to the motion on the floor? Seeing none, that motion is carried. All right. Staying with you, Deputy Chief Reynolds, we have the Missing Persons Annual Report.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, again, this.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I made a mistake. Yeah, forgive me. Thank you. The motion that I looked down one line too far. So the motion that I wanted passed was that the board receives the 2022 Joint Forces Operational Report for its information. So same, can we have the same people move it? All right. And again, for the sake of the minutes, anyone opposed? Seeing none, okay, that's carried. Now we go to the Internal Task Forces Adequacy Standards Report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as indicated, this is a 2022 Internal Task Force Report.
Yep.
It's required to go to the board in regards to board policy, meaning board policy as well as adequacy standards. The two major things that you'll see before you is obviously the 2022 student homecoming was $265,155. And we also had a very serious homicide investigation involving Miss Marquez, and it came in at a cost of $599,276. So total cost of those two was $824,000 and $824,431. You'll take note that there were other task force projects that occurred during the year. I'll just highlight, which is in the report, obviously the large amount of criminal charges in regards to criminal activity, as well as the provincial offense noticing increases from the previous year. And as indicated, that's a result of some large investigations where many criminal charges were laid involving weapons, guns, drugs. And then the other one is highly from, we actually did a task force in regards to the tow trucks and things that were happening in there. Obviously, we know we had a shooting and that stuff. So, and we want to impact that heavily, which we did. So that's my report. Looking for you to accept the board report as per adequacy and board policy.
Thank you kindly. Any questions for Acting Deputy Chief Reynolds with regards to his report? All right, seeing none, can I get a mover for the following motion? That the board receives the 2022 Internal Task Forces Adequacy Standards Report for information. Moved by Councillor Stevenson, seconded by Councillor Lehman. Any debate or discussion flowing from the report? Seeing none, anyone opposed to the motion on the floor? Seeing none, that motion is carried. We're just going to stay with you, Deputy Chief Reynolds. Missing Persons Annual Report.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. This report is submitted as a result of the Missing Person Act 2018 as when it came into effect. And it states that prior to April 1st, we will submit a report basically telling you how many times we had to use the availability, and by June 1st you need to report it to the Administrative Solicitor General. Jen's nodding her head, she's well aware of that. So as you will see, we did have 765 distinct, and we say distinct specifically to missing persons. We used 15 urgent demands were submitted, and that involved 8 of our missing persons. So looking for you to accept the recommendation is that the board receives the report to be submitted to the Solicitor General. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Acting Deputy Chief Reynolds with regards to the Missing Persons Annual Report? All right, seeing none, I will need a mover for the following motion that the board receives the 2022 Missing Persons Annual Report for information. A mover for that motion. Looking to my right. No. Oh, look at my left. All right. So, Stephen, I'm going to go moved by Councillor Lehman. Look at that. And then seconded by Councillor Stevenson there. So just to change it up a little bit, right? Any debate or discussion of the motion? All right. Seeing none. Anyone opposed to the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Vice Chair Walker, femicide verbal update.
Yep. Thank you so much. So I can advise the board that the team met with the staff from the Ministry of Women and Gender-Based Violence and had a great meeting with them, left us really optimistic. And through them, they've set up a meeting now for us through Justice. And so that meeting is in a few weeks. And we also anticipate a good end result from that meeting. And the Canadian Femicide Observatory for Justice and Accountability will be publicly releasing its paper over the next week or so once it has gone to their board. And so I will make sure everybody gets that and we can release it as well.
Thank you, Norris. Thank you to Vice Chair Walker for that update. Board, any questions for Vice Chair Walker with regards to the femicide verbal update? Seeing none, I'll need a mover of the following motion that the board receives for informational purposes Vice Chair Walker's verbal update related to the board's femicide initiative. Moved by Councillor Stevenson, seconded by Member Branscombe. Any debate or discussion? Motion? Seeing none. Anyone opposed to that motion? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Next item agenda comes to me. It's the Anti-Racism Advisory Panel monthly update, which will be very short because we actually haven't met since our last board meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is April 5th at 4 p.m. And I will report back at our April board meeting in terms of how that meeting went. So nothing to report as of this moment. Next item agenda is number 14, Mental Health and Addictions Advisory Panel monthly update. Looking to you, Member Branscombe.
Thanks, Chair. It was a great pleasure to have our guest at the last meeting from the Canada Beyond the Blue, CanadaBeyondTheBlue.com. She was a sister of an officer that committed suicide, and her brother, and she spent that's her way of helping get over her grief, was to work on this foundation. And their objective is a bunch of things, but one of the main objectives is to support families in various ways, spouses and children, particularly who have had an officer that has committed suicide. They're also looking to memorialize the names of officers, because it's in the line of duty. It's not like they're kind of two separate, and that's what one of the things she's working on. They want to have kind of separate memorials because it's a different kind of obviously tragic event than officers shot in the line of duty, like we've just talked about today. But they're quite adamant about getting this done. Very moving presentation. Rick Robson was there from the LPA, talking about how they're working together with that group as well, and we asked what we could do for support and just increasing the awareness about this. And I think there is an increased awareness as well overall and in London. So really very impressive. There were a lot of good questions from the committee, and so that was a very interesting presentation. I hope to see her back, and if you want more information, CanadaBeyondTheBlue.com. It's worth having a look at the website. We also had we have a next meeting on April the 5th at 9 a.m. We've had 2 members of our committee move on, so we're going to have to have two new members. And I think the group is wanting to focus on people with lived experience in the mental health field. So I guess there's probably a process for that. I'm assuming Jen will take care of that, and we'll have some new folks on the committee. It's a very good committee. I'm very happy. Vice Chair Walker's on the committee with me, but a lot of good feedback comes from this group, and how we can, as the police service, how we can assist with all the challenges the city's facing with these mental health issues and homeless issues. What's the police's role? So I think we're doing good work there, and I'm happy to continue. And that's my report.
Thank you, Member Branscombe. Board, any questions for Member Branscombe with regards to the MHAP report she just provided? All right, seeing none, I'll move on to item agenda number 15, which is my verbal update. So only 2 quick things I wanted to talk to you about today. One is dealing with the chief and deputy chief recruitment process, and obviously, as everyone can appreciate, we're bound by confidentiality and privacy on that front. But I will and I can advise that the board's been working very diligently over the past number of weeks as we move towards completion of this process. We are almost at a point where we'll be able to report out and hope to provide some information to the public in the near future on that front there. So the second issue deals with the filling of the London Police Services Board vacancy. Just by way of quick background for the benefit of members of the public that may be listening in, our full contingent on the board is 7 members. 3 members are appointed by the Government of Ontario, and then 3 members are city appointees. And then there's, city councillors or the mayor. And then there's one final member, which is a citizen appointee by the City of London. And when our former chair, Toth, resigned her position, that created a vacancy for a citizen appointee. And that process is moving along. It is going, there were 54 applicants who put in their application for consideration to the appointment for the London Police Services Board, which represents, to my knowledge, the largest ever response in recent memory to have 54 members apply for a position. The decision, just for the sake of clarity, is not made by the London Police Services Board. This is a decision that vests with council. They will have to receive the applications, consider the applications, and then make a decision themselves in terms of who they deem to be appropriate to fill that vacancy. I believe, if only I had the mayor and two city councils here with me right now, I believe it goes to SPPC on March 28th, and then for to council, I think for final consideration on April 4th, I believe, right? So, yeah, it'll go over to council for them to consider that. So stay tuned. We look forward to hearing from council who they choose to get us back up to a full contingent of 7 there. So those are my only 2 updates for today. Does anyone have any questions with regards to anything that I've shared? All right. Seeing none, we can move on to the, actually, you know what, we'll get a motion to approve, or sorry, a motion to receive my monthly verbal update related to business of the board. Moved by Vice Chair Walker, seconded by Councillor Stevenson. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. All right. Agenda item 16, looking to you, Ms. Foster, for your administrative verbal update.
Thank you, Chair. So just a few more updates with respect to Melanie and I constantly adding new things to the Move It portal, so keep an eye on that. We've revised a lot of policies over the last several months. We've created policies, and some have been put out of commission based on you know, some changes that we've made with respect to committees. Move It folder is up to date with policies, and also for anyone in the public, all of our policies, apart from one that is HR related, are all public information, and they are posted to the board page of the LPS website, www.londonpolice.ca. So they're there for anybody to look at. And the other final thing for board members is OAPSB is looking for director nominations, if anybody is interested in that. Instead of inundating you all with emails, if anybody's interested, I can send you the information. So in my history here, the board hasn't had a position on the board of directors with, that's the Ontario Association of Police Services Boards. That's one of our umbrella governance organizations. And anyway, I can share that information if anybody's interested in taking on a little bit of an extra role on top of your busyness right now.
You keep looking at Susan.
Do I really? Because he was hiding. Anyway, so that's my report. Thank you for indulging me.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Any questions with regards to the administrator's report? So should we just put Susan's name down right now?
I would like to nominate Susan if
Yeah.
she's interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long is the term for Susan?
I think it's 3 years.
3 years. 3 years.
3-year terms.
Perfect. And could you send an email or provide maybe some information, just for some background? Like, I know you've introduced it there, but if somebody wants more information.
Oh, absolutely.
Not
Let me
me,
know. I
but
won't
somebody,
send
yeah.
it all out unless you want it. So,
Yeah,
okay,
perfect.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so yeah, any questions? No questions for Ms. Foster with regards to the administrator's report? All right, seeing none, I'll just need a mover for the following motion, that the board receives Ms. Foster's verbal update related to business of the board. The mover for that, moved by Councillor Lehman, second by Vice Chair Walker. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. With no new business, that's it, my friends. That's pretty good. The next London Police Services Board meeting is on Thursday, April 20th, 2023. So we'll see everybody back almost a month from now. So, all right. Need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Stevenson, seconded by Member Branscombe. I suspect no one's opposed to that. Well, all right. Motion's passed. Thank you so much, everybody. See you next month. Yeah, very quick.
Thank you.